Alex, you stand to benefit, Palantir stands to benefit as a result of this infrastructure bill. Also, potentially, this Build Back Better bill in terms of some of the climate components of it. Are you an advocate of both?
Well, definitely on climate. I mean, you know, first of all, obviously, in general, macro trends are macro trends that we thought would happen with some surprises. But what in climate, basically helping people to understand at a granular level the exact carbon footprint they're carrying in a way that's transparent is similar, structurally similar to what we've been doing in the anti-terror context, in the sense that you have to granularly track things, variables that are across large data sets that are very hard to track and have to be done in a way that's transparent so that third-party, non-technical people can understand what you're doing. And that's obviously something that, you know, Palantir, our products were built to do. We have a lot of experience in industries that are creating a carbon footprint, and we're, I think, well ahead on product developments that will be critical in that area. In general, Palantir, we benefit when societies or institutions focus on a problem. And we've seen that in the anti-terror context and other contexts, climate context. We're not inherently directly correlated, as many people think, to elections or particular spending. Our job is to deliver the world's best products to our clients in full alignment with them. And then their job is to evaluate it and then buy it. And so obviously there'll be a lot of opportunities for us. But primarily, I think we will benefit from the fact that we've been looking at data integration issues that, in fact, are eating the whole world. We've been involved in these for over 2 decades, and we believe we have ideas and ways of developing software and software products that are just significantly ahead of other people.
Over the last 20 years, the enemy, if you will, for the U.S. and its allies, which you have helped with, has been terrorism, anti-terrorism in particular. Increasingly, the conversation has moved away from terrorism in the Middle East and more towards China. What do you think about that, and what role do you think you have to play in it?
Well, the public discussion has moved recently, but as you know from our many conversations, we've been very focused on what we've called the software war between America and its adversaries, where we believe, and as a company we've been saying for over a decade, this is not a conflict that's linear. So it's not like other conflicts where one country has a slightly better plane than another country has a slightly better boat than another. This is much more like what we saw in World War II, where one country develops a nuclear bomb and they set the rules. And we've been saying this in public, in policy circles for well over a decade. And because we've been saying it in public, we've been very focused on this in private for well over a decade. And a lot of the development on Palantir on the software end doesn't see the public eye for obvious reasons. But we've been very focused on what's generically called AI in the conflict or war setting for a long time, building on innovations we'd already built, the ways in which we work with data in bulk, and then data at the edge. And so as part of this conflict, our basic thesis was this is a winner-take-all conflict. The U.S. and its allies must have the best software in the world. We battled with Silicon Valley about this. Silicon Valley, I think, has changed somewhat. But we were well ahead of telling people externally this is something we need full alignment on. And obviously, internally, we occasionally listen to ourselves. And we've built what we believe are highly differentiated products, both on bulk data sets, using machine learning and next-generation AI in a war setting.
A number of Silicon Valleys have left China, but what do you think of those that are still doing business in China? The biggest, of course, is Apple.
You know, we believe at Palantir, in full disclosure, if a company wants to work in an adversarial country, I just think they should work there and defend it. You know, at Palantir, we have our views. Many times those views have been very controversial. We picked up and moved to Denver because our views were too controversial in Silicon Valley. We are an international business. We defend the U.S. government. We defend Western governments all over the world. We have a massive business all over Europe. We have a massive business in the Middle East. We have certain values we stand by. If you want to work in China or in any other country that is adversarial or not adversarial to America, you should disclose it and defend it. Our view, though, is slightly different. You should work wherever you can ethically justify internally and externally. However, if you do not work with the U.S. government, you should disclose why you're not working with the U.S. government and why you're working with other governments that are adversarial to the U.S. government. And that's been our position. We, of course, at Palantir are very proud to develop products that make the Western world stronger. And we hope that those products put us in a position where we decide what the ethics of the world will be. We, America and its allies, not just in America, right. And therefore influence the world in a positive way.
Alex, you have left Denver. You've left California to go to Denver. A number of big companies, including Tesla, have now moved their headquarters to Austin. Long term, what do you think happens to California? And what do you think is happening in terms of this larger trend?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think people leaving will help California quite a bit because in reality, California has a lot of advantages for building tech, and America is still the strongest tech nation in the world, certainly if it comes to software, enterprise software, technology broadly defined. But California needs competition. And by the way, we didn't leave primarily for economic reasons. We left because it became a monoculture politically. I mean, I happen to be progressive, but we believe in a culture where everyone gets to have an opinion and where people get to defend their opinion. I think this will help California quite a bit long term. Short term, it's a huge problem.
I wanted to ask you about the stock, which, of course, has done quite remarkably. But I want to read you something and get your feedback on it. This is an analyst who wrote the following. On one hand, Palantir exceeds its own growth estimates, expanding its contractually secured revenues rapidly. Further, the business model is highly scalable, resulting in significant margins. On the other, bears are not wrong to criticize Palantir's cash-burning problem and excessive stock-based compensation, which keeps diluting shareholders to oblivion.
You know, let me tell you a story of Palantir that it will answer your question. So not the typical obfuscation you're used to from corporate executives. When we went to Silicon Valley and said we are going to build software platforms for the U.S. government, they said, why would you build something for the U.S. government? It's hard to work with government and data is worthless. By the way, they literally said, why would you focus on data protection? No one will believe the product will work. And by the way, something that is fully aligned with your clients is just not smart. You should turn your clients into a product and monetize them. We rejected that advice, and then we went to the U.S. government, and they told us, build your product in the way we want, i.e. a PowerPoint developed by someone who was not technical for something that was necessary in the 70s. We didn't do that. We built a number of products that are now in the market and are winning in the market. To do that, we've hired the best and most interesting and eclectic people in the world. They work at Palantir. They work at Palantir for lots of reasons, but they're very fairly comped. And we will continue to develop these products and continue to comp people. And we are very, very focused on being fully aligned with our clients and fully aligned with people who own our stock. What does that mean in the real world? It means that we will continue to be very focused on delivering value. We will continue to comp people, and I don't believe we're deluding people into oblivion. Which is pretty interesting, by the way, about the analysts, many of whom are highly substantive and attuned to our product, is de facto, they're saying what the generals used to say to us. Build the product we can understand, and then we'll reward you with capital. We're building the product our clients need and the world needs, and we believe over time, and we've already seen this, the world will reward us and will reward our shareholders. And that's basically our view.